All right, just before we get started, I want to tell you about the Shopify app I think a lot of growing brands should know about, and it's called Plytix. Now, Plytix is a multi-store AI bulk editor that makes managing product content on Shopify actually scalable. Now, after 6 years inside Shopify and running my own brand, I really wish that a tool like this had been around back then. Because once your catalog gets serious, Shopify alone starts to break down. Like, try a simple find and replace across your product descriptions. You'll end up exporting to a spreadsheet, making the change, and then importing back just to update one phrase. And multiply that across translations and variants and even missing meta fields, and then you've burned a week. Especially if you've got like 1,000 or more SKUs or you're adding 50 or more products a month. Now, I've known about Plytix for a while, but I didn't think much of them for Shopify. But recently I took another look and they're now laser focused on Shopify specific problems and helping brands adopt what they call content-led growth. And that means like better product content drives more discoverability and better sales across Shopify, marketplaces, and the incredibly important and emerging world of AI shopping. And their credentials in the ecosystem are real too. They are the #1 product information management software, or PIM, on G2, 5 years running, and are now ranked the #4 for best commerce software this year alone. So if your team is losing hours on manual product edits, grab Plytix app for free in the Shopify App Store, or you can head on over to plytix.com/fastlane. That's PLYTIX.com/fastlane. All right, let's jump into today's episode.
You're listening to E-commerce Fastlane, the podcast show to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company, powered by Shopify. Listen to real conversations with partners and subject matter experts as they share proven practical strategies, platforms, and the best Shopify apps to help you accelerate your business. The time is now for you to improve efficiencies, grow revenue, profit, and lifetime customer loyalty. Please welcome your host, startup founder, and strategic advisor, Steve Hutt.
All right, welcome back to E-commerce Fastlane. I am your host, Steve Hutt. Now, today, I want to get into this kind of the large narrative that everybody's talking about, this whole AI thing. I think, you think about ChatGPT right now, recommending products. You think about Google AI mode. It really is now pulling from the shopping graph, and Shopify is kind of rolling out these agentic storefronts. I've been talking about this. I've been writing about this. The way people discover and are buying is beginning to shift, and it's shifting quite quickly. And I think the brands, in my opinion, that have very clean, structured product data really are the ones that are starting to show up more kind of in these new surfaces. And it's incredibly important. So if you're a progressive brand thinking, hey, yes, fair enough, paid social, organic reach, all these things are really important. But I think brands that have a clean catalog that's not scattered across in multiple spreadsheets and craziness, I think those people are set up for a lot of success. And that's one of the reasons why I have my guest on today. It's Trever Chidester, and he is the director of partnerships at a company called Plytix, and they're one of the top-rated product information management platforms in the market. It's referred to as a PIM, but there's significantly much more than that. Nice thing about Trever, he spent a lot of his days inside a lot of real Shopify brands, like implementing and watching what actually works and what actually breaks. And I think that's one of his value props and his superpower. And so I'm hoping that we're going to get a case today to understand about like what is this product data quality and why is it becoming a large growth lever. That's one of the big hero things they have on their homepage at Plytix. They're talking about why it's important, why it's a growth lever, or why they believe it is. And I'm a proponent of the product. I think it's fantastic. I've known about Plytix for a really long time, even when I was inside Shopify, and been recommending it in the early days when it was strictly very narrowly focused on what it does, but it's expanded out. So it's really great to have you on the show today, Trever. So welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me. I'm a big fan of the podcast, so it's exciting to be here.
Yeah, this is really cool. So let's talk about what the average Shopify's product data actually looks like. We'll talk about the platform in a minute, but I'm just curious from what you see when when a brand kind of comes to Plytix and says, okay, and you go have a little sneak peek about like where are they at today? Like what do you see that you believe that there are some challenges in the average brand today?
Yeah, we're usually looking at a pretty messy situation when it comes to brands trying to do this on their own in Shopify. What we usually would see is an e-com team or one e-commerce manager that's just managing the Shopify listing, that maybe they have their own spreadsheet of data that they get from a merchandising team or from the buyers or even from suppliers that they send them, that they need to then use to start to get their products for their new launch ready in Shopify. They're trying to upload that to Shopify. They get a lot of errors a lot of times. It's difficult to actually get all that information properly set up in the spreadsheet to get it into Shopify in the right way. I know a lot of merchants that just do it manually. They just add one by one SKUs and their variants within Shopify because that spreadsheet upload is so cumbersome. And that's going to be kind of the basic information that Shopify would require for any given product. But a lot of times when I get into these Shopify stores, it is a minefield of meta fields. There's so many different pieces of information that they have had to create meta fields for that Shopify doesn't have attributes for built into the platform, or they use meta fields to do that. And so then that's kind of like a whole other section where they have all this information that's unique to different product categories or different places they're selling products. And then on top of all that, of course, they have all their digital assets. And that's usually either somebody else on the team or the e-commerce manager, bugging designers or the photographer to get those new product images in for the new launch. And it really ends up being this e-commerce manager that's having to just run down everybody on their team for all the different information that they need to properly list their products on the Shopify store. So what we're really doing is trying to sneak in a tool there that can make that whole process so much more streamlined for the e-commerce manager.
Yeah, it's amazing. One thing I did kind of just before recording today is as I've noticed that Plytix has really expanded from, I guess, the original days, like I mentioned at the top of the show. And it's clearly that you've kind of gone way beyond the kind of traditional PIM, this product information management kind of solution. I know there's a built-in DAM, which is a digital asset management component. But can you walk me through like the full platform kind of as it is today? I do want to narrowly focus more on enriching and improving the whole workflow of the product data as it relates to AI and the discoverability in these solutions. But I just want to make sure that those that are listening today can understand what Plytix actually is as a whole, as a larger platform.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been in the PIM space now for a little over 10 years. I joined the team 6 years ago as an account executive. So I was one of the first account executives working with new merchants trying to get started with PIM. In a lot of cases, we were working with brands that they were selling both B2B and B2C. We didn't work with many brands on Shopify from the very beginning, just because we didn't have the app at that point. And a lot of our customers, they had kind of that main pain point of a PIM where they just had so much information from the different suppliers that they were working with. Right. And then a lot of them selling B2B, they had to get that information to their different distributors or retailers. So they had information coming in a lot of different formats and then information going out in a lot of different formats. And they needed one place where they could easily manage all that data. And that's kind of like the bread and butter of PIM, giving you that single source of truth to more easily manage and organize all that information in one place when it's coming in really messy and it needs to get out in a lot of different formats. And so we've been in that space now kind of perfecting a solution, this one single source of truth, like I'm saying, this one tool to manage that information. And it was really kind of we've seen this rise of Shopify in these last few years. It's just been incredible. At the beginning, it was, just an SMB tool for entrepreneurs. And now we're seeing some of the biggest brands in the world, on Shopify. And that's been a cool story to follow. I'm sure for you as well.
Oh yeah.
And so for us, we've seen that growth, and we've kind of noticed how Shopify was able to do that by offering a very approachable solution for smaller businesses, but then creating and designing a very powerful solution for big brands. And we have done something very similar, I guess in like a different order. We started with a powerful solution, and now we're packaging it in a small way for smaller brands to get their foot in the door with a solution that can really help them manage their data better. And so when you say about kind of a larger solution, that's where we're looking at Plytix as a PIM. We've been, the number one PIM on G2's review platform for the last 6 years or 5 years. And now we're kind of packaging the tool into a Shopify multi-store bulk editor that's going to make it easier for brands to manage their information on Shopify.
Yeah, that's amazing. So it's nice to see the full scope of kind of what's available. And I think that's one of the nice things about the solution, the fact that, there's a little bit of a crawl, walk, run kind of scenario here where it's not an all or nothing. It's literally like, hey, wait a second. You have this particular challenge right now. If it truly is, you're playing in spreadsheets, and just think about the time that happens, having like team members and the amount of time they're spending dealing with importing and exporting and making some changes and things like that, where a lot of that can reside directly from within the Plytix solution. So I think that in itself, there's this time benefit you get. And then you also, one thing I love too is the fact that you do have a single source of truth. More, and especially when there's different team members touching different things, if Plytix is the source of truth for product data, then that just adds a lot of more consistency and accuracy to the data. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And one place where everybody can go where they know, okay, this is the most up-to-date information. That's exactly it.
So let's talk a little bit about this whole AI situation. I think that's the kind of the key that I want to get across today was that, because I've seen it firsthand, and I've been talking about this, and you obviously are involved in the platform now that's solving this problem, but the data is broken to a certain degree. And I think that's costing a lot of like real hours of trying to manage this one by one, and hacking away, a little bit of duct tape going on. But I also believe there's a financial impact that's happening right now for brands that don't have this clean, proper, structured data that is usable for these AI systems. And so can you talk a bit about that? Because you've seen the one side of the equation, but then you see the upside of people implementing Plytix now and what that means for like their AI discoverability and then starting to get some revenue now.
Yeah, I think this goes really well with what you had on a recent episode talking about kind of like the shiny distracting strategies. Shiny objects, that's exactly it. That merchants can kind of get tripped up on because there's just so much hype around it. And I think that the agentic storefronts, we might get to a point like that in the future, but it's just not really an actionable thing that merchants right now can do to increase their revenue. But what they can do is improve their product discoverability, because I think all of us as online shoppers can say that we do that now in our own way. We look at ChatGPT and we start asking to recommend certain products. Like I was just getting a new faucet this weekend, and I put the specific website that I wanted to look through their products, and I asked it to show me the top 5 products that for what I was specifically looking for, which was a new faucet for my kitchen. And it did a great job. It showed me those products, and this product discoverability piece is where we're seeing brands really excel when they're looking for an AI-driven strategy. And to do that right, and it really involves a lot of content. It involves having a lot of customizable information for the different problems you're trying to solve, or the different audiences that you have. what AI wants, or what LLMs want to see on your PDP is different than what an end buyer might want to see. So if you can provide the LLM with their own feed of product information that's customized for what they're looking for, and then you can have your PDP more tailored towards conversion, so that when someone actually lands on your PDP, they see the data that they, a human perspective of what they really need to see in order to buy that product, then your chance of getting discovered is so much higher, and then your chance of converting that buyer is so much higher, because you have that custom information for each.
Yeah, no, what I find interesting is that the person that is querying just like a traditional search engine, let's say you're going to Google directly, I think when you physically type something and looking for a certain product, it seems that, and I'm case in point too, where if you're using Claude or Perplexity or whatever you're using, you tend to be a little bit more narrative and longer in what you're trying to locate. You're getting a lot more context from within these chat solutions, these large language models, and because of that, it is challenging for these large language models to kind of triangulate and figure out, well, what's the true context here? Like, what is this person actually asking for? And I think that's part of the data problem that's happening right now, where maybe, if you're going into it, like, I'm looking for a pair of sneakers, I have a high arch, I want it in white, whatever. But you're saying these things, and some people are even using like the voice modes built into a lot of these solutions. And because of that, it's just a big long narrative happening. And it's just like, well, what are you doing with your product data so that you can be discoverable for these sorts of queries versus just thinking of like head terms and a little bit of few long tail. But everybody's been fighting that in the SEO world forever. But now, progressive brands now are being really smart and thinking, but what are people actually asking for? Sneakers under $200 in white for those with a high arch. Okay, that's interesting. And how do you get discovered in all of that, right? Is that part of the FAQs? There's so much to unpack here.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, it's really cool when you look at this stuff, because all of us are online shoppers, so we all can see those behaviors, Yeah. And if you plugged in all that to old school Google search, you'd get no search results. You'd have nothing. So you'd have to go for these keywords that don't really describe kind of what you're looking for. But now we can be so much more descriptive, and yeah, it's challenging for the brands to be able to kind of face that challenge and kind of meet that need. But the cool thing about AI is that we can also use it to our advantage here too, and utilize it to transform information that we already have to create new content that is optimized in that way. So that's one of the really cool things that the AI content studio within Plytix can help you with. If you have a list of all of your products and their traditional descriptions, you could do a bulk edit within there to create new descriptions that are optimized for a particular LLM or particular audience.
Good stuff. All right, so I have a question for you, because I've known about Plytix for like a really long time. You've been in the PIM space for quite a while. Like I said, I've been recommending it to many brands that I managed when I was inside Shopify, and now I see an interesting add-on to it, or at least an entry point now with this kind of with your app now and this Shopify kind of bulk editor option. Can you talk a little about the overall strategy and the fit in the marketplace? Because clearly mid-market to enterprise PIM, and have your flag in that sand, but now you seem to be opening up now and being a lot more friendlier to early stage Shopify brands because of the Shopify app. So can you talk overall about that strategy and the slight migration path to that app store?
Yeah, absolutely. It really kind of goes along these lines that we're trying to lower the barrier of entry for businesses to get a PIM solution implemented so that they can utilize these tools to more easily manage their information. We've been in this space for quite some time, and we've seen a lot of the reasons why businesses haven't been able to quite get this implemented in their tech stack. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it has to do with it. It's just a big piece to bite off. It's a big project to undertake, and it can be quite expensive for a lot of businesses, even if they see where the ROI eventually is going to be, really great for them. it's the connection isn't there between getting started and how that where they can see that growth in the end. And so really what we're trying to do is kind of separate this now into, getting brands started with just their Shopify store. Let's make it easier for you to edit your products in Shopify. An easier bulk editor, AI content studio within this smaller Shopify app that is more affordable and accessible for Shopify merchants. And then as you start getting used to using the Plytix and the PIM, you start to realize how much more our solution can offer to businesses. And this is something that really, our CEO and founder, Morten Poulsen, is working on a lot right now with the concept of content-led growth, utilizing your content to grow your product discoverability and your reach online. And so utilizing Plytix and getting introduced with Plytix through the Shopify bulk editor is really kind of setting up brands to be able to utilize it as a content-led growth platform to really utilize data and product content as their growth engine.
And then, so does the product itself, how is it priced? Because I think there's going to be a full range of merchants that are listening right now. Because I'm sure there's like a low price or a free tier for up to a certain amount of products to really get people kind of onboarded to learn more about the solution. And then I guess, does it work its way up based on number of SKUs?
Yeah, so the app itself is free to download. So you can go jump on the App Store now, and you can download it directly from there. Our Magic Import's actually going to pull all of those products directly from your store. It's actually going to take a few, like around 50 products right from the beginning, just to make it go nice and quick. Where you'll be able to then see your products within the store, so you can start to test out the bulk editing and see what the connector looks like. And then you'll even be able to test out the AI features as well. We offer 500 free AI credits for any of the free users as well. So you can start to play around there. And then just depending on kind of what your catalog looks like, you can even stay with the free accounts. If you have less than 500 products, for example, then you can actually use the free account indefinitely with as many Shopify stores as you want. And then it kind of grows based on your catalog, your SKU count, or the digital asset storage that you might need. And that's going to kind of determine the plan. We have a Shopify special at 149 euros or dollars a month, and that's going to give you access to up to 10,000 SKUs in the platform. And then there's other parts of the platform as well that you can add on, things like AI credits if you need to do more translations or more digital asset kind of transformations as well. If you want to do things like remove backgrounds for your images, or even create studio style images with AI, you can do that with the AI credits. Mm-hmm. So you can add on those kind of packages. And then the other parts of the platform as well, like our brand portals and our product sheets, which allow you to create digital catalogs and PDFs from products that are in the PIM as well.
Ah, very cool. So then how does this relate to Shopify Catalog? Because I think I've talked a little bit about that. There's, most people that are listening to the show are on Shopify already, but there's some that are either on competing platforms or WooCommerce or BigCommerce or who knows. And they're still signing up to Shopify Catalog because they want to be able to have Shopify send structured data over to these large language models for discoverability. So I think Shopify is trying to be the source of truth a little bit around at least the connection point between what's either in your Shopify store or your catalog if you're not a Shopify customer yet, and then these large language models. So how does Plytix and Shopify Catalog kind of work together?
Yeah, this one's really interesting because Shopify is being really smart on this front by offering this kind of solution almost as a way to start to get merchants that are selling on other e-commerce platforms to test out Shopify and utilize it for this functionality. I actually have seen so many merchants lately that have multiple stores on these different e-commerce platforms. They've been working on WooCommerce now for the last 10 years, but they're now exploring and they have 2 of their different country sites on Shopify. I'm seeing this quite a bit, actually. Mm-hmm. And Plytix is such a great solution for them because it allows them to be kind of agnostic in their e-commerce platform, and just utilize their e-commerce as a different endpoint for the product information that they have. So they have all their SKUs and product data within Plytix, and then they send which products they sell on whatever market or whatever language they sell into to their Shopify store, and they send another one to their WooCommerce store. And the same thing can work with Shopify catalogs, because now if you're selling all of your products on a Magento site, for example, but you want to utilize Shopify catalogs for the LLM and product discoverability through AI, you can just easily connect a Shopify store through Plytix to just send all the products that you have on another store into Shopify and create them all in bulk, all from Plytix.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because like I said, I wrote about this, and I actually even talked to one of the VPs in Shopify about this particular solution, and they even said, I mean, maybe this is going to change in the future, but like the bulk editing it's really challenging right now. Shopify only adds; they can't replace or remove anything in bulk from within the catalog, and they also mentioned that image formatting and things like that is all one by one. So it's definitely in meta field management. They made a comment too that's still quite messy still for them. So and then you just mentioned about the AI translation. I mean, they're not doing it. And I think that's one advantage of Plytix and stuff like that, is that you can still have the source of truth for all your product data, and it can be LLM friendly and translated, and you can do all the things you need to do in bulk. But then at that point, correct me if I'm wrong, but at that point, once you've structured the data accordingly from within Plytix, that can then be synced over to Shopify's catalog to then be synced over to these LLMs. Am I right in the workflow of Plytix being the source of truth, get things set up accordingly and doing all your work, but then from there you can connect through Shopify in catalog?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And yeah, you can see where those tools to help manage that product information within Shopify can just be so time saving for businesses, because they can make these big bulk edits. They can bulk produce with AI descriptions and transform images. Like I said before, create these AI studio version imagery that they want from their products. And they can do that all within one platform. A lot of different merchants right now are utilizing like 5 or 6 different apps to be able to do all this. And you can do that all from within Plytix and then easily sync it into your Shopify store.
This is amazing. So who do you believe is the sweet spot of merchant that's listening today? Because like I said, there's lots of people that are side hustlers doing their thing. Maybe they're drop shipping and just trying to get some traction out of their business. There's a lot of people firmly in the mid-market that are listening, and then there's 10 or 15% are in the enterprise on the plus side of the business. Who do you think gets the best value out of versus maybe the current spreadsheet opportunity that a lot of people are doing? Who gets the best value out of Plytix today?
Yeah, I would say like if you have more than like 200 products, and you have either one store that's on a few different markets or selling in different languages, or if you have multiple stores where you're having to make different edits in each different backend of each different store, then it's something that you should check out today, because it's just going to make your life so much easier. If you're a merchant that has a small SKU count and maybe they're only on one store, it's definitely worth checking out just to see if our AI content can make things easier for you to sell new products and get new products up and running. But I really think that sweet spot is going to be when you're working with multiple different markets or multiple different stores, or you're trying to add products quickly to your catalog, but you're just getting slowed down by all the content creation that you need to do, because that's where the AI piece can come in to help so much. Yeah. And utilizing that AI is it's really all about kind of creating a space for you to speed up your product launches in that sense.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. I think that's, you know what it is? I think it's a mind shift change right now where a lot of people have kind of heard of what a PIM is. But what's interesting though, and you guys are flipping the narrative on it, which I think is great, is the fact that it's been a costly mid-market to enterprise kind of technology. It just has been. I mean, when I was inside Plus, recommending Plytix in the past, but these are brands doing upwards of 5 to 10, even up to $50 million and, a large team. And, and there was this cost factor that went along with an enterprise piece of software. I mean, you understand that being, an account executive, right? And so it's interesting now where that narrative is being flipped, that now there's it's just that even a free tier now, like 500 SKUs and 500 credits a month. I mean, that's a really good entry point for someone to actually get access to an enterprise tool that's usually, literally a short few years ago was worth thousands of dollars a month, right?
Yeah, you're spot on. It's really lowering the barrier of entry for merchants to finally be able to utilize these tools to make their lives easier when they're managing information in their web stores. Because before, this would have cost you at least $10,000 to $30,000 a year to be able to utilize. A lot of times these solutions would end up getting kind of pulled into other parts of the business as well that would kind of slow down the adoption because it was kind of too expensive. So they needed to justify it to multiple different teams. A lot of times you had failed implementations too, just because the tool was too difficult to get their data model and everything all set up. So we've really tried to lower that barrier of entry by offering a free solution that everybody can just get started with, and by creating that magic import that just automatically pulls all your products from your Shopify store. It creates all the attributes and meta fields that you need within Plytix just automatically from your Shopify store. And make that process just so much more accessible for merchants. And the really cool thing about that is that PIM has been helping mid-market brands and enterprise brands for a long time now to scale. And so giving the smaller businesses and merchants within Shopify those tools, it allows them to then scale because our tool has been helping those merchants be able to scale for a long time. So getting in with that Shopify bulk editor and multi-store management, it's giving you access to a tool that you can then use for years to be able to grow your catalog and sell more of your products on different marketplaces or list your products really wherever you need them, want them to be.
One thing I want to throw out there to those that are listening right now, and this happens quite often where you listen to a podcast and there's some great information and knowledge, but there's not saying there's procrastination that can happen, because clearly the people that are listening are not procrastinating because they're trying to educate themselves on what they believe the next thing they can do to kind of move their business forward. What do you tell people right now that are a little bit apprehensive, knowing that you have access to an enterprise quality product that's been around for 10 years, it keeps iterating, but now you're going downstream a bit. Is it truly that easy to go to the App Store, install the app, have it ingest, a range of products, and then do you believe that it's been set up accordingly? Because I want to make sure people don't think that this is going to be a complicated time suck. That it's just. And so I'd like to hear it from you, because you've obviously onboarded lots of clients who are a little bit apprehensive, and their life has completely changed now because of it.
Yeah, no. And we know that this has been a hard hurdle for a lot of businesses to overcome because we've been working in the PIM space for so long. And so we've really designed this to make that hurdle almost not there, invisible. And part of that is, like I said, that magic importer, it's actually going to only bring in a selection of your products. So that way you can do it within, it's like 10 to 30 seconds that it's going to create your Plytix account for you with a sample of your products. So it really is such a such an easy way for you to get started and to test things out. Try out the AI features. And if you like how it works and you like the UI, then it's as simple as downloading the rest of your catalog. And so you can click one button and download the rest of your catalog. that one might take like 5 to 10 minutes, and we'll send you an email when it's done. But then after that 5 to 10 minutes, you'll have all of your products within Plytix, where then you can start using the AI functionalities to bulk create descriptions or images, or use the bulk editor to bulk edit products, do find and replaces. And then easily sync that with your store. The store is actually, the connector is automatically set up as well. So you don't have to do any attribute mapping or anything like that. It's all automatically set up. So once you make those edits, if you want to see those changes in your store, it's as simple as clicking on the process button.
Yeah, this is amazing. Thanks for sharing that, because I think that really sets the stage a bit about the overall platform now and kind of where you're headed. I love seeing when there's a native Shopify app now, the barrier to entry, obviously, to be approved as a as a proper certified Shopify app. There's a lot of hoops to follow to make sure you get into the App Store correctly, and all the data integrity that goes along with it. But it's a great entry point now to actually then connect over to the larger platform. So very, very cool. So we're just about ending today's episode, but I know we kind of had a quick chit chat before recording, and I understand that you'd like to offer kind of a special listener-only promotion for those that are listening today, maybe even in lieu of the free trial that's available in the App Store. I'll kind of pass the baton to you and let me know what you believe some of the next steps are for those that are listening.
Yeah, so really it's as simple as downloading the app on your Shopify store. And we're public on the Shopify App Store, so you can find us by just searching for Plytix, and you'll be able to download your products into Plytix automatically. And then we're also offering 500 free AI credits so that you can test out the AI functionalities. You can create, studio style imagery for all of your products. So you can create new descriptions that are optimized for certain LLMs. So really kind of utilizing that AI content right when you get into the platform. And then from there on, for 500 products, you can sync to as many Shopify stores as you want to, all with our free account, just from one place.
Yeah, it's amazing. All right, so it's plytix.com/fastlane. So plytix.com/fastlane. That will kind of redirect to, I think it goes right to the App Store, or you can just search the App Store right now live, Plytix, and you can kind of check that out. I always say this, but you don't know what you don't know, and I think it's worth the opportunity to try it out and see what it does, because I love the fact that you all have the same mindset that I do, this crawl, walk, run kind of mindset, and I think the app is designed that way, to install it, have it ingest a range of products, get used to the UI, like how could this add to my daily workflow? How does it connect to everything else that I'm doing? What are the benefits to me and my business? And then from there, if it does work, and as expected, then you can fully ingest the rest of your content to start using the AI tools and then start going down that journey.
Yeah, and one of the things to add to that too is, because we've been around this space for so long, and we have a full team of PIM experts as well. This tool, it's so easy to use, and getting started is so simple. But we also have a support team that's here for any questions that you might need. We can jump on a call at any point. So, really test it out, get a feel for the UI, and if you get stuck, just send us an email or book a call with us. We'd be happy to talk you through how to get the tool ready to go for you to start making it easier for you to manage your products in Shopify.
Well, Trevor, congratulations on launching the app in the Shopify App Store. You're generally making a difference on how merchants manage their product data, and really that's no small thing, And I love the concept that Morton's working on right now with the content-led growth, because it really does reframe kind of product content as a growth lever, rather than a chore. And I think, the better and the cleaner that your content is, the more discoverable, your products become across Shopify, marketplaces, and even AI shopping. And that flows straight through to revenue. So I think you guys are really onto something here, and I'm glad that we got to put this all in front of my audience. And thank you so much for coming on the show today and walking us through it.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Thanks for helping us share this message. It's been a long time coming that we've been trying to help these merchants grow with Plytix, and we're really excited to be offering this to Shopify merchants to really get their foot in the door and start utilizing PIM.
Beautiful. All right, that's it for today. But thanks again for recording, and have yourself, for you, a lovely evening, and I'll have a lovely morning. Well, that's it for today's episode. I'd like to thank you personally for being a loyal listener of E-commerce Fastlane. It's my hope that this podcast is offering you a ton of value through growth strategies, tactics, and exclusive insider tips on the best Shopify apps and marketing platforms, all with my personal goal to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company powered by Shopify. Thanks for investing some time today and listening to the show. I'm so proud and excited that you have a growth mindset and are a constant learner. I truly appreciate you and your entrepreneurial journey. Enjoy the rest of the week and keep thriving with Shopify.